Path of Exile 2's next major update is almost here, and somehow, despite the fact that Grinding Gear Games hasn't actually given us the full 055 reveal yet, there are already a ton of things being talked about as if they're confirmed. New Ascendancy classes, brand new skills, huge balance changes, unique reworks, maybe even brand new weapon classes, and other significant content. But here is the big issue with all of this. A lot of that isn't actually confirmed for patch 0.5.5. Some of it comes directly from things Grinding Gear Games has said they want to do before Path of Exile 2 reaches 1.0, and other bits of it are just educated bits of speculation. And some of it is just the community taking one statement from Jonathan Rogers and turning it into an entirely different statement, which I used to do all the time. I used to dig deep into his Reddit posts and draw way too much blood from the stone. So today, I want to go through everything Grinding Gear Games has publicly told us about the period leading into patch 055, what they've actually confirmed, what they've hinted at, and what we're still completely guessing about. This stuff we don't know might be even more interesting, and that's why it's the focus of everybody's speculation. So first, what's actually in 055? Well, Grinding Gear Games has made it pretty clear this is not another 0.5, even a 0.4 or 0.3. Return of the Ancients was an absolutely massive update. We got enormous changes to the end game, new content, new systems, new progression, and basically one of the biggest updates Path of Exile 2 has received during early access, if not the absolute biggest. And Grinding Gear Games has said that they're not looking to repeat that process immediately. Instead, the period between 0.5 and 1.0 is supposed to be much more focused on polishing, balancing, and improving the game that already exists. That's very important, you guys, because if you're expecting 055 to suddenly be another gigantic expansion with a mountain of new content, that's probably not what Grinding Gear Games is planning. 1.0 is where we're supposed to get the largest content update of all time. The brand new Acts 5 and 6, more class content, and the larger features that GGG is holding for the actual launch that we have no clue of what they are. So 055 exists in a very different role. It's essentially, all right, we built this gigantic game. Now let's finally do some polishing with this this ultimate patch before early access ends. So that is leading us into one of the largest things that Grinding Gear Games has actually confirmed. 055 is going to be accompanied by a 1-month event with a fresh economy. This is probably the single most concrete piece of info we have about 055. And I want to emphasize something because I've seen this part misunderstood quite a bit. This does not mean GGG is wiping Runes of Eldur. I've seen this in my comment sections. I've seen this on Reddit, in my Discord. Your existing Runes of Eldur characters and economy aren't simply getting deleted. Instead, GGG is creating a separate environment with a fresh economy. So if you want to keep playing your current characters, you can. But if you want that classic Path of Exile, new ladder, new season feeling of everyone starting fresh from zero, you'll have the opportunity to do that. I know I'm going to take it. And this event is expected to last about 1 month. This is where it gets a little interesting because Grinding Gear Games has not actually told us what the special rules of this event are. We know it's a fresh economy and it lasts a month. However, we don't know anything else beyond that. Is it just going to be a normal PoE2 league with a fresh economy? Are we going to have some sort of changed progression? Is it going to have special rules with the Atlas? I know Jonathan Rogers mentioned there might be a brand new Atlas Master. Will there be something wild like Mayhem, which is an event that happened in Path of Exile 1, where every single area was guaranteed to have a league mechanic spawned within it? It was a little unique. People have talked about the legacy of Freesia coming to PoE2. That doesn't make any sense because they're not going to revamp the existing ascendancies into new ascendancies for this temporary league. It's not going to be like Zizzarin's Gauntlet. I think it's most likely to just be a normal reset or having a special Atlas Master that might accelerate progression in some way. But until Grinding Gear Games actually reveals what's happening in this 1-month event, everything I just said is complete speculation. Now, why is Grinding Gear Games even doing this 1-month league? This is where we really need to zoom out for a moment because these economy resets aren't random at all. One of the fundamental purposes of PoE2 Early Access has been allowing GGG to make major changes while still giving themselves opportunities to observe how those changes affect the actual game. A fresh economy this close to launch gives grinding your games a very interesting testing environment, especially when they're explicitly saying it's for a test and it's lasting 1 month. It's giving them one last time to make extremely aggressive changes right before 1.0. Now, this is what a lot of you are likely most excited about. One of the biggest themes Grinding Your Games has repeatedly talked about for 0.55 is balance, and as we've talked about, this makes complete sense. 0.5 introduced a gigantic amount of new player power and systems and items and endgame progression content. With that comes a ton of balance problems on top of what already existed in PoE2. Grinding Your Games has acknowledged that there are areas of the game that still need significant work, and the post 0.5 period, especially 0.55, is supposed to give them the opportunity to address those problems. These include things like skill balance, passive tree improvements, endgame balance, unique item changes, and broader player power adjustments. But here's where we need to be careful as speculators. GGG has said these are areas that they're working on during the road toward 1.0. They have not said, here's the complete 0.55 patch. So if somebody is telling you, Grinding Your Games confirm this specific skill or archetype is getting buffed in 0.55, you should be extremely excited to play the game again in September or whenever this launches. Unless we've actually seen that from GGG, take it with a grain of salt. Now, here's another interesting one. Grinding Your Games has specifically talked about adding new skills to existing weapons. That can create entirely new build possibilities without requiring an entirely new weapon. This is something GGG has discussed as part of the work happening before 1.0, but again, it's not confirmed for 0.55, so they really might have bitten off more than they can chew with this before 1.0 stuff. But that's the theme of this video. We're talking about the roadmap they've given us, what's confirmed for 0.55, and what is not. Okay, I am going to lay down the law here. This is probably the biggest confusion point. Ascendancies. More ascendancies are coming at the end of the day. That's not speculation at all. But here's the part that gets completely misconstrued online. GGG has not said that every remaining ascendancy is coming in 0.55. They've talked about them as a broader road toward 1.0, and that matters because you will see people saying the final ascendancies are coming in 0.55. They could be. I want them to come. I wouldn't be surprised, but until GGG actually says, here's the Arcane Archer, and here's the final ascendancy for the Druid, it's all speculation. They might just be coming in 1.0 itself, even though I would love both of them to be hitting in 0.55. Here is yet another area that GGG has acknowledged needs attention, because PoE2's passive tree is obviously one of the most important systems in the entire game. It should be responsible for build identity, character power, pathing, weapon specialization, attribute investment, and a huge amount of build customization. Grinding Your Games has talked about improving the passive tree and addressing areas that aren't performing as well as they would like. So I really think some kind of passive tree adjustment before 1.0 is a very reasonable expectation. However, we don't know what it will look like. I would imagine they are probably a little tired of the jewel meta that has a profound impact on the end game build making community, but we'll just have to see. I have long been an advocate for more power in the passive tree and ascendancies compared to gear. Maybe it'll happen before 1.0, or maybe they really enjoyed the jackpot feeling that you get when you find that key item that just massively increases your character power. Lots of talk in the community about this one. Unique items still need help. Grinding Your Games has been pretty open about the fact that PoE2's unique item pool has issues. There are uniques that are pretty freaking exciting and cool. There are uniques that enable entire builds in the game. They just make your character explicitly better, like Mage Blood and Headhunter in most scenarios. And then there are uniques that you literally pick up, identify with Doriani or the Hooded One or whatever, and then you don't even look at them. You just immediately vendor it for a chance shard. Grinding Your Games has talked about this. They've discussed adding more uniques, especially filling the gaps in the lower and mid-level range. I believe it's level 40 to 60, if I'm remembering the interview correctly. And they've also talked about revisiting existing uniques and making them more powerful, more interesting, and just better overall. And they've actually done this in the 0.5 subsequent patches, where they went and they ensured that skills on unique items could scale with character level, and you could use jeweler's orbs on the unique item skills. So this is absolutely great. I would really expect to see some of these changes happen before 1.0. New uniques aren't confirmed as a 0.55 feature yet, but balance on existing uniques, that's confirmed. So what isn't confirmed? Let's just completely clear the table. As of right now, I would not call the following confirmed 0.55 features: new weapon types like swords, no duelist, no marauder, no templar, no shadow, no Axe 5 and 6, you guys, no new major endgame systems, no league mechanics, no specific ascendancy buffs, no specific skill buffs, no specific unique reworks, no Freesia style event, no trial of the ancestors. None of these should be presented as facts until GGG actually announces them. And really, I think this is where PoE2 discussion gets a little messy, because Grinding Gear Games has actually given us a pretty clear understanding of what is coming. If we're talking only about what Grinding Gear Games has told us, I'd expect 0.55 to be completely centered around balance changes, existing system improvements, minor endgame adjustments, skill changes, the changes to the feeling of skills, slight animation tweaks, numbers changes, potential passive tree adjustments, unique improvements, and possibly some of the other things that Grinding Gear Games has already discussed as part of the road to 1.0, like new ascendancies, like new unique items, but none of that is confirmed. And then we got to remember, the only thing that is confirmed for 0.55 really is a 1-month fresh economy event. That's the part we know. Everything beyond that is more interesting, but it also veers into realms of speculation. GGG is sitting on a lot of the things they've already told us they want to do, and they might wait for 1.0 to finally release them. So it's really a question of what's coming in 0.55 and what's coming in 1.0. At the end of the day, Exiles, I think the biggest mistake that we can make when we're thinking about 0.55 is assuming this is really patch 0.6. It's not. It's probably just going to be, let's get PoE2 into a better state before we release the game to millions of players and turn it into a free-to-play experience. And honestly, I think that's what PoE2 needs right now. They want to pack all the juiciest cool stuff into 1.0, and this patch shouldn't be focusing on adding a bunch of new. It should be fixing the existing and the old. I am Talkative Try, and that was one of the first scripted videos that I've written in quite some time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure, if you want all the PoE2 news, details, stuff like that, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with your friends. That's the best thing you can do to help the channel grow. Have a wonderful evening. Good night, Exiles.